Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. All right, welcome to this side of the gate, and tonight we have some very special guests with us. We have Mr. Steve Stockton. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great, Sysco. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. He is going to be kind of my co-host, my pinch hitter over here tonight, because tonight we have Mr. Kieth Linder from the Bothel Hell House. And he is going to take us through all the things that happened to him throughout that house. And I want you to just strap yourselves in because it's going to be one heck of a ride. Welcome, Kieth.
Hello and welcome, and thanks for having me tonight. Hello.
Hello. Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful. So, Kieth, if there's anybody out there that's been under a rock and hasn't heard anything about what's happened to you in all these years in the Bothel Hell House, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and, you know, how you first got started and what brought you to this home?
Yeah, I'll give a quick rundown. Basically, May of 2012, me and my girlfriend, Tina, we moved into a house right outside Seattle, Bothell, Washington. We had been together 2 years prior to moving into the house. And probably almost on day one, began experiencing and witnessing what is now called paranormal activity. We didn't know it at the time, but that's what it was. One in particular was the infamous kid cough that we heard almost within minutes of the homeowner leaving, the landlord leaving the house. This was May 1st. And after that, I guess a few days after that, just weird stuff you sort of shrug off because it could, be an easy explanation for that. Mainly items missing, like my extra set of car keys. We noticed a disappearance, if you will, of silverware in the kitchen. Tina was always searching for jewelry that she had. And it was just really interesting because as we're living longer and longer in the house, getting familiar and unpacking, finally we come full circle when almost probably about 2 months of living in the home, we see a plant rise up off the floor right in front of us. We were watching TV. This plant sits right next to the TV, goes vertical in the air, turns 360 degrees, and spills over right in front of both of us. And that probably is chapter one of a long list of chapters about the Bothel Hell House, as I now call it, because as you know, some of your listeners might know, the activity coming after that is just truly remarkable and almost unheard of and unseen. Talking about the Bible burnings, there was 3 of those. Mysterious wall markings, some of it written in languages, Native American language, or definitely pictogram or whatever. Right. But also, in addition to that, the loud bangs, heavy objects being moved in front of us. Of course, the controversial Ghost Adventures episode titled Demons in Seattle.
Yeah, so a lot of people know this as Demons in Seattle, and we're kind of moving it from the Demons in Seattle over to the Bothel Hell House because, which is what you've kind of done over time. Now, let me take you back just a moment. Just for the listeners who haven't heard it a lot, I've listened to, quite a few interviews, and like I told you when we spoke earlier that I've been kind of listening to you when some of your first interviews, like before you had all the massive setting up of cameras and stuff. This is a man who moved in with his girlfriend into a home. It's an absolutely beautiful home. It was, by the way, and you guys had it decorated beautiful. This was almost like decorator style. They just moved in together. This was a home that they loved. This was something that they were looking forward to living in for a long time and living in it together. And all of a sudden, they're sitting at the counter. You had mentioned that he had left a bottle of wine for you, which was nice, and the landlord leaves. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you hear this kid cough. Now, the way you say it, basically, you knew it was a child coughing. You both kind of knew it was a child coughing. But, of course, you blew it off because you hadn't been in the home, and you thought maybe it was somebody outside. It was easy to let it go. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it was easy to let it go because what else do we have to go on? Right. We were extremely, you're in house high mode. You just got a beautiful home.
Yeah.
We're talking about getting, which room is going to be used for what.
Right.
And paranormal is the furthest thing on your mind.
Absolutely.
The farthest thing on your mind.
And that's why... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I want the listeners to understand it's not something that you and Tina, this was, in a lot of the people that listen to this stuff all the time and read it, and paranormal investigators, it's part of their lives every day. This was not something that was part of yours and Tina's life every day. You weren't, messing with Ouija boards all the time or going to, there wasn't, you had said in another interview that you were kind of even 50-50 on whether or not you believed it or not. You were rather skeptical yourself in some ways. Is that correct?
Yeah. When me growing up, I'm originally from Texas. I grew up in a home where this was never talked about, thought about. Who doesn't like a good scary movie every now and then?
Right.
The paranormal was something you would watch on TV around Halloween. That's about as much thought I gave to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a neophyte coming in, as was Tina.
Right.
And understand, we're coming into a house and we're totally naive and oblivious to what's already there. We have no clue what's about to happen, what can happen, what will happen, and what's even worse, the repercussions of us even reporting it. Because as you know from your research, even by us coming forward with the activity, we got a lot of kickback because of that. Even just the fact of saying, hey, our Bible caught fire, and the paranormal field, percentage of the paranormal field frowned upon that and attacked us. And even that took us aback because we thought we were going amongst friendly individuals, friendly territory.
Exactly.
I wasn't making these claims at another institution of higher learning or another discipline. I was making these claims to the paranormal community. So, it took us aback.
And you actually, honestly, at that point, and you worked up to it too. You didn't jump into it. People don't realize that. I'm going to go back to the plant, if you don't mind, because there you are. First, you've got the kid cough, and there was a couple little things. I believe then you when did the bangs start? Because I know you said that you heard loud bangs. It sounded like 2x4s banging together like 3 or 4 times. And then it sounded like it was coming from a certain spot, but also kind of everywhere at the same time. Is that kind of right?
Once the plant levitated, it really seemed like that was the end of introductions, because you're right, within days of the plant falling over, the loud bangs came, and they're real loud. They're so loud it's hard to pinpoint the exact location. Me and Tina have been at different times or different parts of the house, and we hear the bang and we come running out of our room like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? It sounded like it came from over here. No, it sounded like it came from over there.
Right.
And sometimes we're together at the kitchen table, we hear the loud bang, and it sounds like it's right over our heads. But you're right, it's like 4x4s or 2 large wooden beams. And it thundered. The house thunders to the point that it does get your attention. And we go upstairs looking for the area that we think it originated. And it took a while to finally pinpoint where it originated.
Yeah, and, I can imagine when I'm telling the story, and Steve, jump in any time, honey. I know he gets so excited about the stories. He listens a lot. He loves stories. He's just enthralled to listen. But the thing is when you're in this, I want to take people to the point of you're in this beautiful home. This is not a home that looks like that old boarded up place that, cobwebs everywhere and, wind blowing through the rafters. This was a beautiful, fairly new home. There had been other tenants, There wasn't anything that had a sign out front that said, "Rent me, I'm haunted." There wasn't anything that they had. This was the furthest thing from their mind. So any little thing that happened, and I'll tell you something. I've been listening to Kieth for a long time. He doesn't jump to conclusions. He's very careful of what the conclusions he comes to, and he looks at every possibility, because it seems that is the role you took from the very beginning. Am I correct? You were just analyzing things that happened and blowing off things that could be explained in other ways, is what I mean.
Yeah, what I tell people is, I guess this case went public in 2014. That's when it officially went public. And by public, I mean outside of Bothell. But we were discerning for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And for the first 6 months or 8 months of those 2 years, you're right. We were trying to rule everything as a logical explanation. We, even after the plant levitated and the loud bangs, were still entertaining the idea of somebody coming in the house while we're away, mm-hmm. Punking us or tricking us or hoaxing us, or
like a friend, welcome home, man. We're gonna get this on video and punk you. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
like we're on candid camera, but we obviously don't know. We thought for a while that the homeowner was in on it. We thought the neighborhood. So you go through a lot of things
in your head,
and we're just checking off check boxes, and finally, I mean, your eyes tell the truth in what they see, and plants levitating more than once or more than one occasion, mm-hmm. and they're splattering on the wall, dirt and debris go everywhere. Mm-hmm. You have to start trusting your common sense at that point.
And I can tell you, again, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to tell you this because I know you don't hear this often enough, okay? I'm picturing, I'm thinking this poor couple, they just moved in. I can imagine what Tina's going through. And if I may say right up front, bless you, Tina. If you're listening, if you get to hear this, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I mean, she doesn't get enough to where, it must have been absolute, I hate to use the word, but it must have been hell to go through this. You got your plants, you got your live plants, you got your soak plants. I've seen these live plants, pictures of them. They're knocked over, dirt everywhere. Now only you have to live through that, but you got to clean it up. And I can just imagine the chatter over this. Must be an explanation for this. We're cleaning it up. It's okay. We'll put it back together. We'll water it. It's going to be okay. She must have been coming apart in this, or she's, I can't imagine being stoic through this. I just can't imagine. You're shaking all over like what just happened, because it absolutely. I'm trying to look for a way to say. Mind screws you, in a nice way, because you're living through it. We become desensitized to the fact, plant flies through the room. Well, I defy anybody to sit in their living room tonight and have a plant come at you, and you got to pick it up and clean it up and explain to your mind what just happened. That's enough. And then you've got loud bangs. Then you've got the cabinets flinging open, and both of you having to question each other. Did you just fling all the cabinets? Tell us a little bit about the cabinets. When did that happen? Not long after the plants, right?
Yeah, not long after the plants and not long after the loud bangs.
It's amping up.
It's a 2-story house, so mm-hmm. you wake up, come downstairs, and every kitchen cabinet door is open. Mm-hmm. And you're right. Once again, going through that checkoff list, I march mm-hmm. back upstairs. Tina, honey, mm-hmm. did you leave all the kitchen cabinet doors open? I know the answer to that question. I just got to ask it for my mental sake.
But then again,
because there's 84 cabinet doors.
That's a lot of cabinets. I've seen the videos. I mean, you have to understand, people, this is a huge kitchen. All the cabinet doors, you've got a wine cabinet there, nice wine cabinet, all this other stuff, drawers open, and things like that. But, in your mind, you might be thinking, I haven't lived with her before. Does she sleepwalk? Did I sleepwalk? We're feeling each other out here. What's happening? Then you ask her, And see, this is what happens, people. If you have any kind, even a human, let's not jump to conclusions here. We don't know. In my personal opinion, I think the house is full of different things, but we'll get to that. But if you have even just a human entity that is any ghost that's stuck, it has to live off of energy created around them just to live. So it lives off of lower vibrational things like fear, confusion, arguments, anxiety, and that's what it's creating here. This is what it's building up to. It's getting, the more it gets of that, the more it can do. So that's where we are now. Now you've got your cabinet doors and you're questioning each other, and then you have to console each other because now you know neither one of you did it.
Seems like a slow, steady escalation, just continually look at me, look at me, look at me, and almost like you were ignoring it. And I admire the stoicism to stay there and say, hey, let's figure this out, what's causing this, whereas most people would have been like, hey, I'm out of here.
Well, this is also Steve, just to underline everything you just said. This is a gentleman, and I do say gentleman because I have seen him on other videos. I've seen when other people were just going wild, and he was just in the background, again, staying stoic and trying to stay. He was just cool, and I imagine that's the way you were pretty much through the whole thing. Any videos I've seen, you were very matter of fact. You weren't running around the house going, "Oh my God, look at this! What is going?" He was just very stoic through the whole thing, and this is the way he has conducted himself in a gentlemanly, clinical kind of manner. And how you do it, I don't know, but that's it. And then to hear these other things that people are saying, okay, well, he's hoaxing. First of all, folks, let me tell you something. This is a lot to go through for a couple of dollars on a book. Are you kidding me? Steve and I have both written books. It's not what you think it is. To have your reputation. This is a professional individual with a good job. And he doesn't need this kind of mess in his life. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. This isn't something he asked for, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but I just want to tell people ahead, because what you are going to hear, this is what kills me in the paranormal world, and Steve and I talk about it all the time. People beg for evidence. I want to see that. I want to see the real thing. Let me tell you something, listeners. This is the real thing. So hang on, because it's going to be a long, bumpy ride. You want evidence? We've got it. This is a gentleman who is telling the truth. He's telling the truth. I believe it. Steve believes him. And a lot of the people I know that know what they're talking about, been in this a long time, believe him. And it's time we start realizing that he's telling the truth. I'm sorry, Kieth. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to reiterate what you and Steve were mentioning. Like you said, me and Tina didn't come this far in life to wake up one day and say, you know what, let's hoax something. You know what, let's rent a house together and go through 4 years of hoaxing campaign, 2 years before we make it public. And it's just, mind you, you're right, when the episodes aired the world over, friends and family saw it, co-workers saw it, my boss saw it, other employees saw it. And I'm going to just entertain the idea, like, who would hire me? Who would trust me at a job where a guy is setting fire to an office? You don't want that guy in your employer. You don't want him in your building. And people just leap to the conclusion of, without evidence, mind you, it's hoaxing, or his calm demeanor. I always tell people, my calm demeanor was one of the elements that saved me.
Absolutely.
Because as I learned later on, had I been frantic or outright hysterical, the entities would have leaped on that like bees on honey.
Absolutely.
I was very calm. There's a video on my YouTube where the candles are thrown and they hit the bookshelf, and I walk into it with my cell phone videotaping, and everybody was always like, oh, I'd be running all over the place. I'd be like hysterical, and your hand's too calm, and you calm demeanor. Number one, that's probably about the fifth odd time that's been done in the history of us living in the house. So I'm used to that. Number two, things can escalate very quickly if I don't handle this rightly.
May I ask you, were you ever in the military?
Never in the military, no.
Okay.
No.
Well, you must have been raised in a place that just, well, the thing was I thought right away, a lot of times, soldiers have that military bearing. In the face of utter chaos, we can just stand there. I was in the military, and we can just stand, like that pillar of, and then we lose it. We lose it later, but but during the chaos, and I wondered about that because you're absolutely 100% correct. And for somebody who didn't understand that in the beginning, now, again, I want to take you back. I'm sorry I got you a little off track there, but I needed to say that up front because, if you want to hear evidence, you want to hear what happened, because you're going through this. I mean, there's lots of people going through it, Kieth. I hate to say it, but it happens a lot more. It could be going down the block from Steve and I know this. We've been doing this a long time. And when it's the typical, you can say poltergeist, but poltergeist has got a lot of different, it just depends, it just means noisy ghost, and people get that confused, but it's the typical ramping up of entities, whatever they may be, human or otherwise, that needs that, you guys to fight, you guys to argue. Or, just regular human entities that want attention. I'm here. I need help, or whatever reason. It's the typical thing. The more energy they get, the more they can do. So you heard the kid cough, a child coughing. And then when did you start hearing the pitter-patter little feet going up and down your stairs in your hallway and the doors slamming? When did that start?
We were probably 2 or 3 months in the home when that began, because you're right. We would come home. I always arrived through the front door of my house. Tina arrived through the garage door. But, you arrive through the front door, therefore you're in the living room immediately. And, you hear pitter-patter. You hear thundering up the steps like kids. Like you walked in your house and whoever was in the house living with you, like kids, you told them before you left, don't come downstairs. Because as soon as I walk in, these steps are thundering upstairs up into the landing and down the hallway. And this went on a lot. I mean, sometimes I would have to pause at the front door because I thought, wait a minute, is there an intruder here? I caught whoever's punking us or whoever's pranking us. I caught them. So I would go room to room and comb every room and closet looking for a live person, only to come up empty-handed. And Tina did too. Tina would come in, and she would come in through the garage. Therefore, she's standing immediately in the den and kitchen area, and she's hearing pitter-patter up the steps or in the hallway or the bedroom above us, which is the second floor. And I'm going to tell you, that's kind of unnerving in the sense of you're hearing these pitter-patter noises, and the noises are always running from you in the opposite direction.
Wow, okay.
And one day I could have sworn, because you walk to your door, you get your keys out, you put your key in the ignition. I could have sworn I heard a TV on up until the moment I opened the door, and there was no TV on. But I could have sworn I heard a sound.
Wow.
Like, did we leave a TV on? And as soon as I open the door, that sound goes away.
Almost like if it was, if at that point in time we are talking about a child spirit, child ghost that's there, like he's watching TV, here's the car pull up and running upstairs, he wasn't supposed to be down there kind of sound. That's kind of what it sounds like. And why not? If they can set Bibles on fire, and then they could do they could do all this other, why not? But like I said, I think there was more than one thing going on in that house. Now, the way it started ramping up, and just to show how much you guys didn't know about the paranormal going in and weren't into it, this is about the time you start Googling. You start, we'll Google, I've got some stuff going on in my house. Is that about the time that started?
Yeah, then you're getting to the point of, once we saw the objects moving with our own eyes, we reminded ourselves of the kid cough, and we started Googling, hey, what do you do when you have a kid ghost or a ghost living with you? And the answer varied on the internet of, talk to them, be nice, be kind, walk whatever into the light, tell them to quiet it down. Other advice was smudge, sage,
right?
House blessed, get your house blessed. And we did all the above. I mean, whatever we whatever directions we got, we did it all twice, if not 3 times.
Now, see, this is again goes toward, not against, but toward the character of you and Tina. At this point in time, you're not in a panic. We're going to get information on this. And then we're going to do what anybody, if you haven't run out the front door and taken off down the road, never to return by this point, because a lot of people are wondering at this point, why didn't you do that? And for one reason, you put everything you have into getting this house, and you just moved in. You don't want to go again. You're going to try some things, right. A lot of people do. A lot of people stay and they figure it just almost becomes part of the norm, As sad as that sounds, you just deal with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Kind of a whatever works philosophy. Maybe I don't believe in this, but if it works, it works. I'll try it. I'm willing to try. That's
right.
Yeah, I'm willing to try. I let the spirits know up front that I had no ill will. This is not Kieth and Tina's ill will.
Right.
We even said in a few of our prayers, if we trespass or transgressed, it had to been by accident. We apologize, or if anybody before us arriving in the home,
right,
we apologize on their behalf.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting enough, I'm a problem solver. My occupation, I'm an IT project manager,
right,
and I problem solve 8 hours a day. It's 10 hours a day, and that's why I approach most things in life. Of there's not a problem I don't believe that can't be solved. It just needs a lot of due diligence, and I believe the internet was my best friend in the sense of the information being available. This seemed like a problem that could be fixable at the early stages. Keep in mind, I'm still naive as to what all is in the home. So yeah, why not me and Tina? Let's give it a go. We're well structured. We're well grounded. We got an adequate supply of friends and family rooting for us. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see if we can get this house made livable for us, while at the same time we don't actually know what we're dealing with.
Right. And meanwhile, you've got, just to keep everybody abreast here, what's going on, you've got the loud bangs. You've got the pitter-patter feet running away from you going up the stairs, slamming doors. You have other bangs that are going on, like doors slamming, bedroom doors slamming, and things like a couple times right in front of you. You got your candles flying, the plants flying across the room, dumping dirt. You pick it up, you put it back, it happens again. You got the cabinet doors. And the little things that are missing that you can't quite put in, did I just misplace that, or is it gone? You don't know yet. And then you have something else that kind of creep me to the bone. And that's hard to do, Kieth. It's hard to keep it's hard to creep me to the bone, but boy, you did it. You started seeing toys, did you not?
Yeah, we started seeing objects that neither one of us own because they're toys. Appear, and I want you listeners to understand, these toys appeared out in the open. These were not toys, because you move into a house and you find stuff previous tenants leave behind fridge or dryer or whatever. But no, these toys were on the staircase, kitchen table, coffee table. In addition to that, imagine you go to one of the drawers in the kitchen that you go to every day.
Oh, here it comes. Hang on.
You open it one day, and once you open it, all these letters start piling out of previous tenants dating back years, like 3, 4, 5 years. And they got the previous tenants that lived in the house before you. Now, this drawer is now occupied with my stuff and Tina's stuff.
Right.
We never would have put our stuff in there first without first cleaning out what was already there.
Right.
What's currently there is now on top of our stuff in an abundant way.
Right.
And let me tell you, when you see that with your naked eye, once again, going back to that common sense thing, you know this was not here yesterday or this morning when I left for work.
No.
In addition to the kid toys appearing upstairs and downstairs.
Right. So now you've got
the letters, I think, more than anything. That just blows my mind.
It does.
And Sysco and I were talking about this earlier. That points so far away from a hoax. I mean, you would have had to drive by years before you even moved in there to steal the mail.
Exactly.
It's so stupid for people to start.
It's not even a concept You're right. It's not even a concept worth pursuing of, okay, now I'm a mail thief because these letters are 5 years old.
Right.
And they're time stamped. They've never been opened. These are letters that have never been opened. And I know because I've had missing letters. I've come home and put my letters on the kitchen island and come back and the letters are gone. There's a chapter in my book where I say I check the mail, I go all the way to my office and sit the letters, my bills and payments and all that on my keyboard. I walk back out of my office. I get to the landing in the stair area. Those letters that were on the keyboard are now on the stair landing area.
Crazy.
Okay. If you know the layout of my hallway of my house, you know that something had to supersede me and put that in front of me again, because now it's on the middle of the hallway landing on the staircase, where 10 seconds ago it was on my key.
Now, for the listeners, most of my listeners are going to know that's called apporting. And that can mean either disappearing or bringing in of items that either did belong to you or did not belong to you, never seen before. It has happened in the paranormal as long as it has been, evidence has been written down. Now, the thing about the letters, let me just get a little bit more detail on this. This was a drawer. Remember, Tina's stuff is in there, his stuff is in there. You had gone in there, I think you said the day before, and your stuff was there, Now he goes in this drawer and he opens it. And when he says in abundance, I believe you almost said that it was kind of like busting out, like it was jammed so much in there that it
was piling out. Yeah.
It popped out. Now, these letters, here comes the creepy part, as if that's not bad enough. They are addressed to different people at that address. So what this tells me is from 2008. Do I have that date right? It went all the way back to 2008, all the way up to 2011, 12.
Yeah.
It's addressed to the people who lived in the house before. So people, I put it before your eyes that if you're hearing that there was no activity in this house before Kieth and Tina moved in, there's your evidence, okay? Because whether the people knew it or not, whether they missed the mail or not, they were having some kind of apporting from paranormal activity going on in that house. That's one. Two, from 2008 to 2012, this isn't just to occupant or current resident. This is mail addressed to these residents at this address, and this is important mail. These are tax documents. These are AAA membership things. These are credit card bills. This is mail. Mail that that would have messed their lives up not having, or they past due it, things like that, past due bill, that if they didn't pay it, it would have messed up their lives. It all goes into not just bugging you, it's messing with your life, because if you pay a bill late, it's going to cause drama. It's going to bring anxiety. This is creepy as creepy gets. So the letters say a lot to me. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, that's, like I said, that's one of just the most mind-blowing pieces of evidence there that points away from a hoax or any trickery, because, he would have known that he was going to eventually move into that house and then steal the mail for years and keep it, it's just, no.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. And he's going to come all the way from, wherever he lived before to wait outside, steal the mail, get away from that, and be doing that from 2008 to 2012. People.
Keep in mind, Steve, I would have to have gotten in the house to retrieve the mail the first time, because keep in mind, our mailbox is about, 30, 50 yards from our house. It's one of those neighborhoods where you got to walk. These individuals, like me, brought their mail into the house and probably stuck it in that drawer. Now, we didn't put our mail in that drawer. We put other stuff in that drawer. The fact that this mail returned means the mail had already made it into the house. So if anybody's saying, like you said, about hoaxing, I would have to have made entry into the house, 2008 or whatever, time 9 or 10, and retrieve mail, hold on to it for another 4 or 5 years, petition to rent that house, get lucky and be chosen to rent, because, like I said, we were maybe 1 out of 10 people that tried to get the house, and we successfully got it, and then move in, and then just kickstart Yeah, that's just unbelievable. Whoever thinks that, or still think that, that's just.
Yeah, I don't think David Blaine could have done that. That's you'd have been a real good magician and with a lot of prior knowledge to the future as well. Yeah, see, so that there's so much in this case, and at this point it is a case that if you take one little piece of it and you run away with it and go, I don't believe that. That's fine. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe in gravity to fall down the stairs either, but it's still there. So
exactly,
it's all of this happened, and he would have to done all of that and still hold down a full-time career to be able to afford the house in the first place. People, this stuff takes a lot of time. So the letters really put me over. That was it for me. Everything else, I just wow.
Yeah, same. It's just that was the key piece of evidence for me.
And Kieth, it was done to put you in the same boat. It was done to absolutely unnerve you, and I'm sure it did.
Yeah, you can't help but be unnerved because you're seeing all these names. You have to think, do I have letters missing?
Exactly.
And there would have been times that we would call the bill company, hey, we didn't get a bill the previous month, and the bill correct, oh, we said it.
Right.
It was just all these weird things you would experience, or you get a missing package or something.
On top of, if you think in your daily life how one of those things can mess you up for a couple of days or a week where you're trying to figure out what's going on, just the mail. Not getting a package or, it said it was delivered, and the fight you have to do, that creates anxiety. It creates all kinds of stuff, especially if there's two people in the house and the other person's not real sure. Well, maybe she got it and misplaced it. You're still asking yourself this question. She's asking the same questions, I'm sure. Did he sleepwalk? What's
serve
going
to pitch you against each other.
Exactly, and that's exactly why they do it.
Smaller degree, but still, it'd be like, did he get it and just forgot what he did with it? Or
just innocent stuff.
Did I get it and forget about it and make you question yourself even?
Absolutely.
Yeah, finger pointing. Yeah,
absolutely. And not just finger pointing, but just not realizing, like, maybe he has a little memory problem, or maybe she has a memory. It's just innocent things, but you have to think it because you're laying there. You can't sleep, people. You got banging in the house going on. Lay there and you're going to think. And then you got to get up and go to work. And it's so much deeper than just saying, oh, okay, so for a couple of years they had some stuff going on. It's so much deeper. It ruins lives. It ruins lives. And then now they're on Google and they're doing their due diligence. They're doing exactly what just about everybody else would be doing. You're asking people, what do I do now? And they're saying prayers for this poor I don't know why I'm getting that it's a boy. Maybe it wasn't, but I just see it was a little boy. They're saying prayers for this unknown ghost child that they feel like they have. They're seeing toys. They're seeing things missing. They're doing what they can. And I believe at some time right around now, is this where you start having things happen in the office, or was it after you started calling churches and things like that to try to get some assistance?
Well, I mean, it's kind of weird because everything we've talked about up until now was 2012.
Okay.
The activity, I mean, we had lights go off and on toward the end of 2012, and then everything came to an abrupt stop for about a year. There was no activity, no known activity for 2013, but like you mentioned, a lot of stuff was still missing.
Right.
During that time that never reappeared. Then almost like it was timed, the activity came back with a vengeance in 2014, the spring of. And when I say vengeance, I mean the things that what this case is known for, the multiple fires, long gone are the plants being thrown. We got larger objects to throw now. These spirits are now throwing bar stools. Iron, which is is very pointed, are now projectiles.
Oh man.
Couches and love seats are being turned upside down. Armoire, big 300-pound wooden oak armoire, whatever, that took 3 of me to bring upstairs is being tossed from one side of the room to the other, it weighed 1 pound. The bangs are back. The door slams are back. Everything in 2012 is back in addition to what I just mentioned. So yeah, now we're calling churches, some of them again.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them we've called them for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
We're smudging more now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're still dealing with disappearing and reappearing objects.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also still using the internet trying to find or locate previous tenants because I'm still trying to find out, number one, we always had a question mark over our head, me and Tina, of did we, in not knowing, bring this in with us?
Right.
I had that question about it as a whole, and I had that question about Tina, and she had that question about me. Our families, or each of our families had that question about the person, and that's natural. However, when we finally got a hold of a previous tenant, and they said themselves, the house is a living hell for them.
Wow.
And start naming off some of the phenomena. Mind you, I'm not telling them what we've experienced for the sake of I want to make sure what they're telling me is legit.
Right.
I don't want to cross-reference, but they're telling me almost identical some of the early things we experienced. Kitchen cabinet, yep, done it. They've had it. Phantom footsteps, yep, done it. They've had it. Doors locking them out, front and back, yep, they've had it. Shadowy figures out the corner of their eye, yep, they've had it. Loud bangs, yep, all of that they experienced when they lived in the house in 2008, 2009.
Okay. Was this the lady that also told you that I think it was a child got severely ill, or was it herself?
It was her son. Her son, the one who saw shadowy figures, had developed meningitis, a rare form. He almost died in the home. He was very sick.
And she became
back to the kid talk.
Yeah, she became. I read the letter. She became extremely depressed herself. Did she not?
She became extremely depressed, suicidal. She admitted to that. There was 3 to 4 suicide attempts in the home by her. She became a alcoholic. She drank heavily while in the home. And it's interesting, her chat with me and her emails are in my book of how she described it, because she put it in such a surreal term when she told me in her own words that the house was a living hell for them while there. It felt like it was the beginning of the end for them. And at that time, that's how it felt like for me and Tina.
I can understand that. And
if memory serves correct, I read somewhere that the room that the son was in, his sick room, was the same room that became your office for all this stuff.
Correct. Yeah. His room was my office. The kid cough, which was a boy. We heard a boy kid cough when we heard it May 1st of 2012. And then one of the EVPs I sent you, that Carissa got from outside, was a male child EVP that said 3 when she asked the question. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And keep in mind, people, because I know since they just said that, you're thinking, okay, well, the kid cough was probably residual from the boy being sick. And that's a possibility, but they did get EVPs that were in real time, which means they asked a question and it answered the question in a male child's voice. Plus, you've got the running up and down the stairs that were reacting to Kieth or Tina coming home. So that's also real time. So it wasn't residual or just a remnant of the past. This was something that was intelligently haunting the house as a child anyway, or at least depicting itself as a child. So that there's that. So now they've, called churches. I don't know when you had this. When did you have the woman come in where the sage caught on fire by itself? Was that before churches or after?
That was during in between, because that's when she came in March of April of 2014, which is around the time we had crazy activity. The house was just exploding one Sunday, and if we didn't get anybody over there that we felt, we might not have a house anymore. The activity was just so rampant for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're talking about light fixtures exploding, porcelain glass made light fixtures just blowing up, light bulbs shattering. My bedroom door or our bedroom door was ripped off the hinges. So yeah, Jennifer, who leads the Noble Paranormal team out of Snohomish, near Seattle, responded to our 911 call. They came, and yeah, the last thing she did, they did an 11-hour investigation, but the last thing she did was hold a smudge ceremony, and she stood on the landing, and yeah, her sage lit came on fire by itself. It was unbelievable.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? And I mean, I believe you, and I believed her, and I've heard her speak on this several times, and there's videos out there if you want, but I've heard her speak on it several times, and she stands by that. She said their sage stick, when she held it up, it went on fire by herself. Now, how you guys stayed in there after that, I just don't even know. But you're hanging on. And at this point, you've fought so long, it almost seems like to give up now. You know, you're still looking for answers. You still got that analytical mind going on. You're still trying to do your due diligence to figure there must be a way to solve this problem. You know, you have your backup. You have people that have stood by you that were residents in the past that have had almost identical, if not even more in some ways, evidence and activity happening. You know, you've done what you're supposed to do. Got the church is in there to try to bless the situation, you know, bless the house. You're saging, you're doing all of that. And then right after saging one night, you come home and you left your sage, your smudge stick, which is basically a bundle of herbs tied together, guys, for you don't know. And you light it and it creates an ash. And what happened when you came home, Kieth?
I had motion detector alarms go off. I received emails at work. I came home. The house was upside down. Downstairs, love seat couch upside down. Wine rack open, kitchen cabinet door open. Go upstairs. It looks like a Hurricane Sandy blew in. And in my office, everything's turned asunder, upside down. But we got this is something new. We got wall writings now. And we got upside down crosses that were drawn on the wall behind the computer monitors. We got upside down crosses drawn on the carpet of the floor. And we got 666 written on the closet doors. What was interesting about these, or the material used to mark these walls, was it was ash. And it was ash from the sage stick that we always left the sage stick in the hallway on the bookshelf next to the Bible that we had open. It just seemed like a logical place to leave it. No harm done, but we came home that day. When I left, the sage stick was much longer than it was when I returned. When I came back home, the sage stick was not resting on the bookshelf. It was resting next to my keyboard, and it had shrunk in significant size. It was now half the size it was when I left. I deduced intelligently, or made the leap, of the ash on the wall and the ash on the floor had to have come from the sage stick, by the sage stick being in the room, being much smaller, and just warm soapy water was used to clean the walls, and the vacuum was used to vacuum the ash off the floor.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was definitely, I'm 100% sure. Now, when I tried to reduplicate, meaning, because I'm an analytical thinker, and
he's going to work it through, people. Yep.
I relit the sage stick and tried to write something on the wall myself.
Right.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't even come close to doing it.
Right.
Anybody who dealt with sage sticks knows how they work. They're not easy to handle. That's once they get going. And let alone write. Number one, you're putting the fire out almost immediately.
Right.
The wall itself, paint nowadays has a built-in proof fire resistant. That's what most paints and most modern day homes have. So the minute I put burnt sage to a wall in my house, the fire, it extinguished it right away. And I would just make it a mess. It was a mess. Nothing remotely close to what they'd done, because I was trying to say, I'm just thinking out loud of, okay, somebody climbed in our house in a window and did this. I know they didn't, but let me just see if I can do it, how easy it is for me to do it. And I couldn't do it at all.
Right, right. But the fact that the sage stick was less than half, of what it was when you left it. And let me tell you something. When you're using a sage stick, you know how big it was when you put it back down, because when you need it and when you're depending on like one thing that you have that seems to calm a little bit, you're going to pay attention to how much you have left, because you want to know when you got to go buy another one.
When you got to go get more.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you. It's not easy to find sage.
No, it's not.
I can run up to 7-Eleven.
I know. I know. But that's the thing. I use it all the time, so I know that. So when you said it, I'm like, oh, man, And again, when you're trying to write on the walls with it. So that's why I mentioned the lady who came in before who had the sage stick light itself. It was almost showing you, you saw me do this. Now watch this one. Because it not only lit it on fire, but it could write with it and do that. So there's got to be some kind of other, I want to say, supernatural force that's actually making it work that way. I mean, you have to understand, this isn't just somebody, like you said, climbing in the wall, in the window and doing this. Plus, at this point in time, you've got cameras all over the place. Do you not? You have at least
cameras and motion detection. I got ADT that controls the outside perimeter,
right,
and the inside to perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get through my hallway without tripping off an alarm. There's a camera in the hallway. There's one at the very end that sits on the bookshelf that looks right directly at the staircase. And even if you came in and deactivated that camera, you're already caught anyway, because the camera is 20 feet away from you,
right?
And it's going to take a snapshot of you and send it via email. So all these variables were, the house was on lockdown in the sense of that.
Right.
But you're right. These are, one of the things I had to juggle, and I'm still juggling to this day, is some of the events in our home were paranormal in nature. Some of them were supernatural,
right,
in nature.
Right.
This goes in the category of supernatural, and a lot of people, you hear the word paranormal a lot, and some people say, "Well, they're the same thing." No, they're not. Supernatural and paranormal are not the same. They're cousins.
Yep.
One may give rise to the other, or vice versa. But different spirits have different capabilities.
Yes.
And when you start getting or seeing more supernatural phenomena,
right? Because,
like I said, we're violating the laws of physics as we know it.
Yep.
On some of these activities taking place, that's supernatural. These things wouldn't even happen in a controlled environment or somewhere in outer space or in a laboratory on a space station. These are just things that does not happen in man's world. True. Therefore, these are supernatural. Paranormal is paranormal, and supernatural is supernatural.
Well put.
That's supernatural.
Well put. That's why I said supernatural, man. I'm right there with you. We're right there with him, aren't we, Steve? We're hanging in, Keith. We're hanging in.
Absolutely.
You're in good company tonight, sweetie. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. It's physics alone. You'd have a team of scientists in there scratching their heads going, I can't duplicate this. I can't take normal... the normal things that are going, I cannot duplicate this. That's why it's supernatural. So you've got your paranormal things going on, and now you got the supernatural starting to kick in. This is why in the beginning of this, I said, there's more than one thing here. I honestly believe it's multiple, and not necessarily, some are coming and going, and some are staying, and some are just tripping around the neighborhood having a good time. We'll bring that up later too. But this is the deal. It's been, now we're into 2014. It's been 2 years. These people hung in for 2 years. I can't imagine what condition Tina was in at this point. I can't imagine, what condition the two of you just trying to live in this. It's a battle. Yeah. You get it. It's like a war zone. You don't want to give up. You put so much into it. You don't want to give up because you feel like the end, you could be at the brink of getting past whatever this is at this point, Yeah. Now everything is amping up. Now you've got things writing on your walls in your office. So you do what you can do. You put all the things back. You pick up the furniture again. You clean the walls, you clean the carpets, and you scratch your head and you go, oh my, Then what happened after that, hon?
Believe it or not, the gloves have not yet come off yet. We are still it's about to get darker and more weirder and more sinister,
right.
because now, I mean, the house is just constantly being attacked on a daily basis. And I mean, during sleeping, getting up for work, being at work and knowing that you got tripwires and alarms going off due to the mass. My inbox is filling up with emails from the cameras in the home. And you log in sometimes and you see your house upside down. Sometimes your house looks fine. But here's an interesting thing that you and Steve might appreciate is one day I logged into my cameras, because I can do that, and listen to the house from my job or anywhere else. And I'm upstairs, I'm monitoring the hallway, I'm just multitasking at my desk at work. And you hear the sound of furniture being dragged. Large furniture sounds, like a chest of drawer. I don't know if y'all remember those old-fashioned ladders that used to come down from the ceiling, those spring ladders.
Yeah.
You start hearing that, and we have none of that, by the way. The dragging sounds were coming from upstairs, and upstairs that's 100% carpet. There's nothing upstairs to be dragged around, by the way. And you hear this for a number of times, I mean, several times during the day. You know it's sound, you know you're not hearing things because the sounds are registering and the cameras are picking it up and sending me emails saying sound detected. Now, going back to that word supernatural, I got a camera in my hallway that I'm hearing noise, and it's loud. I mean, it's pretty loud. I did an experiment where I logged into the camera in my office or the bedroom, which is about 12 feet away. I should still be able to hear the same noise, as the laws of physics says. I hear nothing in those cameras.
Wow.
I can put my headset down and pivot over to my hallway, and the noise is still taking place, mind you. Switch back over to my office camera or my bedroom camera. No noise whatsoever.
Wow.
Coming out of those cameras. And yeah, that. And one time I called Tina at work. I said, you got to log in. I created her an account and said, log in right now. Verify what I'm seeing is real or hearing is real. She did. Her mind was blown away.
Yeah.
Nikki and Carissa, when they monitored my house, witnessed and experienced the same phenomena, and it blew their mind away. And you're talking about, it was about 4 of us on the cameras at the same time. So everybody took a camera, and you could hear noise in one and not the other. You can hear a mother screaming to a child in one camera and not the other.
Wow. Defies the law, like you said, the laws of physics. That
within
that small space, you should pick up at least a part of that sound, if not as loud.
Right, it'll
on
be
every microphone, but by being
you're right.
specific to just one, that's inexplicable.
Yeah, and that just, I mean, that's just another epsilon of activity or what we might be dealing with.
Right. And you just mentioned a name, Nikki, and I have some very good friends that were on my show last week from Keystone State Paranormal Society, and they know Nikki. And these are very honorable gentlemen who've been in the paranormal field for a long time, and they know Nikki, and Nikki backs up everything Kieth is saying. So there's some more. Yeah. There's some more evidence, and I trust them in what they say. And they've got 45 years plus, in this. And so this is pretty astonishing evidence, and phenomena. I don't know what else to call it. When you've got, sound in one, you should be able to hear it in the other, and you're not. So if they can do that, we say they, because we don't know what to call any of them yet. Who's doing it, where it's coming from. Is it just manifesting sound for you to hear? And in a lot of ways, Kieth, whatever you're dealing with is so intelligent to the point of it even got, and again, I say it, got to the point where when it wanted to sling stuff around your kitchen, it just shut all the electricity off so you couldn't get it on camera and then turned it back on, did it not?
Yeah, we're dealing with me versus them, and they're always going to win because you're right. I'm being pressured from individuals on the internet of, hey, you got to give us something on video. You got to give us something on camera.
It's not going to give it to you.
I'm putting in cameras, and I'm putting cameras on cameras. I'm watching cameras with cameras, and the spirits are just running amok on all of them. They're like, okay, we can do this all day. They would cut the power to the whole house sometimes, or cut the power to one room or one section of the house. Some of my cameras would reboot on their own, or I would configure them, and then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, they're reset to default settings. And it takes me about 20 minutes to reconfigure and program a camera to do what it is that I want it to do. And they would just go in and, sometimes I would log into a kitchen camera and it's showing me the bedroom. Sometimes I would log into a bedroom camera and it's showing me the kitchen. And I understand, because I'm an IT guy, how that works in the background in a network environment of switching MAC addresses and rerouting packets and whatnot. That's not easy to do, let alone in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, because technically the MAC address is tied to the actual piece of equipment, and you would literally need to move the physical camera from one location to another to switch the MAC addresses that way.
Yeah, and they're doing this like it's easy peasy, and this happened to Nikki and them as well. That her team witnessed this as well, and it drives you bonkers. I mean, it really drives you to the point of being frustrated, which is what they want to do,
absolutely, in
the first place. And then they started, stealing cameras, breaking them, unplugging them, and I've had so many video cameras that were on tripods disappear, or they would swipe the SD card, the micro card. I'm like, oh, I got good footage. I know I got it. And I go to my card slot, card gone.
Right.
Gone.
Right.
And intelligence is the only word I can use, but it really doesn't it only describes of half of their capabilities, the word intelligence, because, I like to use also observation.
Right.
This gives rise to the level of observing me and others setting up cameras, and then what they did with the cameras. It was just astonishing.
Yes, I can't think of another word. Astonishing is absolutely it. And it's almost like, they're watching you do all this stuff, and then they're basically sitting back and go, where are they going to load of this? And it's all about trying to break you down and, and trying to break Tina down. And we're not just talking about this. Can you imagine being at work, people, and you're trying to do your job, which is, intense as it is, because this is not an easy job to have. You have to have your wits about you, and you're getting signals from your house and hearing furniture being thrown around and all this stuff is going on. I don't know how you did it, Keith. My hat's off to you, and I'm glad you don't have to do it anymore. I just don't even know how you guys held down jobs, let alone got any sleep, in this house.
Yeah, sleep was hard. Job,
I can imagine.
Was sort of easy to hold down, but sleep, I always tell myself, and I was talking to a friend the other day of, I don't know how we got through this. I would, if somebody came to me and said they were going to something similar, what to do? I like, get out.
Get out.
Get out now.
Get out now.
It's kid cough, get out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, and that's just it. And where do you, but see that we're laughing, but where do you cut it off? Would it be the kid cough or not being able to find your keys for the third time when you put them on the table? Where would you cut it off? To the listeners, it's so easy to go, oh, see, I'd have been out of there. Eddie Murphy did an old thing back a long time ago. And it's like, look, honey, we got a brand new house. Isn't it wonderful? Our dream came true. Isn't this wonderful? Get out. Too bad we got to go.
Get out. Too bad we got to go.
That's,
you have to,
it's
people
so
don't understand.
easy.
Car keys today are not car keys of 20 years ago.
Right.
Everybody's car keys, for the most part, are computerized. So each time my car key went missing,
$200, $300 bucks.
That's $500 gone.
Oh, you drive a better car than I do. Sorry. I know mine's 200. So
how many times I would have to call dealer or locksmith because my car keys are missing.
I know.
Now, you got to have a car key. You got to have that. That's not something you can just postpone and put off. You got to get some more. And me, every time I would get a new set, there's nothing preventing them from taking the ones I just brought.
Right. So what do you do?
There's nothing prevented. There's nothing them from stopping them from taking my wallet again. One time they took my wallet. I had to go all the way down, get new credit cards, new driver's license, cancel this and that. And then I waltzed back into the house with all this new stuff. And I got to go to bed. Eventually I got to go to bed. I got to sit my wallet down somewhere. And I can see that next to me, they were still taking. They've taken things close to me in the past. It's not about proximity. So I'm still subject to a missing car key or wallet. So now I'm at the mercy of what they won't do.
Right.
You know, I'm like, please don't take my car keys. I just paid $500 to get the guy to come out on Sunday and make me some new car keys. Please, God, don't take, you know, and you don't know. It could very easily, say, take it again.
Right. Right. And that's just what you said. We are at the mercy of what they won't do. And at this point, you're starting to see all the things they're capable of. I mean, when they can set something on fire and write on the wall with it, you know, when they can make sound come down the hall and it's not on the, what can't they? You know,
that's where it gets scary for me. I've lived in houses that had a lot of activity, but never to the point of fires, spontaneous fires or anything. That would have been the hard limit for me. If there's a fire in the house, I'm not going to stay.
There's the interesting thing about the fires is, you know, when we had the poster caught fire, I was in the shower. Tina had just left. And I have a poster in my office, a Final Fantasy poster. And it caught fire. And the fire department came. And they could not figure out for the widths of them. It just didn't make sense to them why a poster would catch fire sitting on a wall by itself. I mean, they were scratching their heads, and I want to tell them so bad because they got a demon or a poltergeist, because that's where I was at mentally. But I like, well, okay, they're gonna take you in a paddy wagon, they're gonna call you, you know. I like, so me and Tina had to be humble and just nod our heads and be all meek and sincere, like, oh, we don't know it, oh man, but you know, but they were so dumbfounded, and the captain was there, and all the other fire department was there. They were investigating fuse boxes, but they were doing overkill because they're like, the poster's just here in the middle of the wall.
Right.
You know, you don't have a heat object next to it. It'd be different if you had a heat lamp or something. And it's just, and people can see the poster on the website.
Right.
Yeah.
No, nothing. And it's just in the middle, and it was just. It was just that one bottom corner kind of too, the way it curled up and just, you know, you could tell it was like it got caught fire and started to roll up, you know.
It was a silk.
And in some cases, and in some cases, some of these fires that were caught, there was not even any soot on the ceiling or, you know, like a normal fire would. You know, exactly.
The Bibles,
Yeah. Now, is that was that the first fire, other than the sage catching by itself? Was the poster the first fire?
If you don't count the Bibles, it was the first fire.
Okay, so when did the Bible start?
Was the first fire.
Right.
There had been 2 Bible burnings. I think at that time 2 Bibles had already caught fire. But like you said, the Bibles were resting on a bookshelf, and they caught fire. You can look at the Bibles and tell them they were incinerated, but there's no soot or ash or dirt or grind in and around the Bible or the shelf above the Bible to let you think, because, you know, if I burn a book on the bookshelf, there's going to be soot, ash. It's going to leave an imprint on the thing it's resting on, the bookshelf above it, because the heat's going to radiate and sort of toast the ceiling of the other bookshelf. None of that, going back to that supernatural theme, none of that was present on any of the Bibles. And they all caught fire.
That's reminiscent of spontaneous combustion, where people have caught fire and their clothing would still be left behind. You know, the body burned, but the clothing's only singed. Where there's high enough heat to burn a body, but there's no smoke damage. Even the chairs that they were sitting in may be only slightly damaged. That's just boggles the mind.
It does. Yeah. And that's, again, supernatural. And it's just, there's no other way to say it. I mean, I'm going to tell you, you could have one angry little kid ghost. And again, if he was a young boy that passed and was a ghost. I doubt to have that much energy to do that. And why a Bible?
Yeah.
Now we're starting to think we've got the upside down crosses, we've got the 666, we've got the burning Bibles. At this point, you must have been just really ready to come out your skin, because right away that creates all kind of fear. Now, if I could just say something about the Bible, this is something that Steve and I have talked about. I've talked to Tammy Knighton. She's a psychic medium friend of mine. I've talked to several other mediums and friends of mine and paranormal investigator friends of mine, just tons of them. That is the one thing that stopped everybody cold in their tracks because of this. There's no way, unless you were a diehard, and there's nothing wrong with being one. If you are an atheist and you believe there's absolutely nothing, to the other side of this or supernatural, whatever you want to call it, you're going to be hard pressed to find somebody that's going to set a Bible on fire just to write a book. This man,
let alone three of them.
Exactly. It's going to take somebody so cold, to any kind of belief, to do something like that. We're not talking to that man, Kieth is a very honorable dude. And like I said, I've been listening to him for years. It's the first time he's talked to me, but I've been listening to him for a long time. So to just set a Bible on fire alone, cut out everything else, there's no way somebody's going to do that.
Just the fact that he owned Bibles in the first place,
exactly,
would indicate that he's not somebody that would just set it on fire.
It's going to take
stress a point.
Exactly. And
exactly, yeah.
The Bible just kind of basically burst into flame. Now, how did you came home from work and you got up in the morning? What was the first one? The Bible.
Well, the interesting thing about the first Bible is the first Bible went missing in 2012.
Okay.
Because my friend had recommended that we bring a Bible out, and I had already owned these Bibles, like you said, and so I left it out on a table downstairs. I believe it was open to Psalms 93 or Psalms 91. And Tina was out of town, so I went to bed. I saged. I go to bed, wake up the next morning, and the Bible is gone, just vanished. That was late 2012. When the activity returned early 2014, this was the night Jennifer and her team came over, where we had a lot of activity. They left. We went to bed. At 1:34, there's a reenactment video of this whole scenario on my YouTube channel of us waking up, having a commotion of who's going to open the door, And I opened the door, and there in the hallway, in the doorway of our bedroom, is this Bible that's on fire.
Oh,
now,
man.
First time I looked at it, it was a book on fire. When I closed it with my foot to douse the flames, I realized this was the Bible that went missing over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago.
Oh,
going back to the level of intent, observation, conniving, malicious, sort of like the sage stick being lit while Jennifer was about to sage. They beat her to the punch. The spirit decided, hey, we're going to return your Bible today. We'd had it for a year and a half. This is going to let you know, number one, we never left. Number two, we did take your Bible. Number three, we're going to set it on fire. And the paranormal team you had here a few years ago, don't do that again.
Right.
That's the impression I got from the Bible being burnt, because once I picked it up, now this is going to really spook you. I felt a bulge. I'm like, oh, something's in it. Now, not really scared, because like, oh man, they left a calling card here.
No.
They are really bringing it home now. Burning the Bible was not enough.
Oh, no.
Okay. There's a bulge in the book. So I opened the book, and there's this wooden cross. It's scorched. The wooden cross in it. Now, I know this wooden cross because I bought it 2 weeks ago off Amazon. It came from Jerusalem. It's a wooden cross. And we have this cross was hung over our bed. As a means of protecting us.
Right.
Now, I saw this cross before we went to bed that night. I saw it. So they took the cross off our bed while we were sleeping and put the Bible and set the Bible on fire. burning the Bible would have been enough for me.
Oh
But
no.
they said, we're gonna bring the point a little bit home of just how close we are to you guys. I mean,
Oh no.
that cross is hanging around. There's a picture on my photo bucket or on YouTube of the cross where it was positioned. It's right above the headboard, which is right above our heads.
Oh.
And we were told to keep this above us as a means of protection. I ordered off Amazon. It came with holy water and a picture of Jesus Christ, and it's from a tree in Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it was scorched and burnt, and it was in the burnt Bible.
Oh,
and
Keith.
You can't make that up.
No, man. No.
You can't.
Oh.
It's almost like they were saying this time it was the cross above the bed. Maybe next time it'll be the bed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were saying,
now, no matter what you do, it's not going to stop us.
You're not going to stop us.
Yeah. Trying to break your faith.
This close. Yeah, the cross, the Bible, that team you had in here smudging. Yeah, we let that sage stick. You're not going to stop us, or you can't stop us. But we're here and we're watching. And this is an interesting cross you bought, by the way. We got it, though. But we got it.
Wow. Wow. And if that's not, that's supernatural, paranormal, everything in between. But it's also, like you said, it goes to the heart of the depth, trying to break your faith,
Yeah, trying to beat you down to the point of you're at your wit's end now, because you're like, going back to that thing of what can't they do?
Right. And that's
what can't they do?
I mean, there's so many levels of, scare you to the bone here. You just, I don't, how do you go back to sleep after that? How do you go in, I mean, Tina at this point must have been inconsolable.
Yeah, we both were. I mean, I called Jennifer that night and couldn't reach her. We didn't sleep in the bedroom again that night, obviously. I think we both huddled on the living room floor and woke up about 5 a.m. and went to work extremely tired and groggy.
Oh, bless your
heart.
We
both were Tina was calling every Catholic church in the Pacific Northwest that day.
I can imagine.
I was calling every paranormal team, chapter, and Jennifer in the Pacific Northwest that morning. And we're on the horn. I mean, my employer would never know how much we were. I was just trying to call people that day, because we were on the horn. I mean, and we would call each other around lunchtime and say, "Who did you get? Who'd you get?
Who'd you get?
Oh, I got this, or I got somebody so and so and so and so, or somebody referred us to so and so and so and so and so, and so and so is going to come over, and they didn't show up.
Right.
We were on the horn that much. Because you got to keep in mind, come 5 p.m., we got to walk back into that house.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
With the other stuff. We got kitchen cabinets. We still got, I mean, the orchard guys are not taking a break, so they're like, oh, okay. And there's the Bible there still, and we still got 2 more that's about to catch fire.
Oh, my God. I just can't.
Now, is that the same cross that went missing and then reappeared in the washing machine, or is that a different cross?
That's a different cross. Yeah, that's even more tricky, because that cross was bigger in size, and that cross was given to me by my cousin who lived in Dallas, who knew our family knew what we were going through, and everybody's trying to help and be our rooting squad of you got to have faith and try this, try that. So she sent me another cross, the one that stood in another portion of our bedroom. And you're right. Early in May of that same year, we woke up on a weekday, and that cross was gone. I mean, it was gone. Now, the day it returned was on a Saturday. And how I know, because it was time-stamped in my memory, because that was the day the first Winter Soldier, the second Captain America movie came out. And I was getting ready to go see that movie with a friend. And I'm sitting in my office looking up movie times, buying tickets. The cross had been gone for a couple of days already, but it's Saturday now. And I'm hearing this thump, 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 because I'm washing clothes. I'm hearing thump, 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 thump. And I look at the washing machine, and I'm like, I could have sworn I just put a light level of clothes in there. What's going thump, thump, thump? But I didn't get up. I stayed on my computer. 30 minutes later, I'm hearing that thump, thump, thump again. Then I look at my watch because I'm like, okay, I got to be out the door pretty soon, and these clothes are not done. I put it on light cycle. It should be done by now. 20 minutes later, the wash machine finally stops. I get up from my chair and open it up and reach in to remove the clothes and put them in the dryer, and I feel something hard. I reach in, pull it out. It's that cross that was on the wall in the bedroom. It's in two pieces now. And I'm holding pieces of it, and it was not in the wash machine when I put, because everybody knows when you put a hard object in a wash machine, within a few minutes, you're going to hear a dump, 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 dump.
Right.
You're like, oh my God, I put something in there. Oh my God, the kids got something in there. Oh my God, something is in there. Let me stop and get it out real quick before I turn up my own wash machine. No, this was not in there. This thump, thump, thump started about 20 minutes into the wash cycle.
And the washer never stopped. And the washer never stopped.
And the washer had an unusual characteristic about it because it went 45 minutes, if not longer, in its wash cycle. And then when it finally stopped, I opened it up, and there was that cross. It had been damaged by the constant tumbling in the wash machine, but it had been disappeared. I think it was gone for a week before it reappeared. And
sweet Jesus.
So, yeah, just to bring the point home, somebody, the spirit, I'm talking about spirit, has the ability to insert an animate object, an object like a wooden cross, into a washing machine while it's on cycle.
That's what I'm saying.
Not so much as a hiccup, not so much as a stop-start or not so much as a glitch, because the wash machine is right outside my office door. The washroom, Tina wasn't in there. Nobody was in there. It was that cross, and it was given to me by my cousin. And we had that cross in another portion of our bedroom that hung on the wall as a means of protection. And I still have that cross to this day. I still got it's broken up, but I still have it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm almost speechless, Keith. This doesn't happen to me. I don't ever run out of words, and I just don't know what to say. I mean, you hear it all the time. This isn't the first time I've heard something like this. If you take, just go scientifically into the point, well, the toys had to come through the house. Other things, letters had to go somewhere and then come back again, in other cases, in other people's cases, things, rain comes out of the ceiling, all kinds of things. But that one there, that one just sets you back a little bit, quite a bit, because wow, I don't know, Steve. You got to say something, because I don't know what to say. I'm blown away.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. How would you deal with an entity like that that's not afraid of anything that normally has power over it? How do you fight something like that you can't see, that you can't deal with, that you can't second guess? Things disappear. Sometimes they come back. Sometimes they don't. How do you know which way it's going to go? That would drive you to madness right there. Just the little things.
Yeah.
It made me our mouth dropped. You're on the horn again. Once again to the churches. I'm alerting Jennifer. I'm alerting other paranormal teams, and I'm always keep in mind because you're right. We're still in the house. We're asking logical people, meaning churches and priests and whatnot. Hey, are we okay? Should we flee?
Right.
Are we in danger by staying here? And the advice given by 99% of them was, stand your ground. We got to, defend the territory. We're here to back. We're going to back you. We'll be there, and we're going to come bless the house again. But this is a long, drawn-out process. But you got to stand your ground. You got to maintain firm. You got to maintain your faith. So we're being encouraged and rooted for in the sense of not fleeing. Now, it doesn't mean we don't. There have been times where we wanted to flee and probably even should. But because you're right. There's no how do you go after something like that?
Right.
Here we are. I can't tell you how many times, once I got familiar with the phenomena happening around me, of paranormal teams that walk into our house, and they didn't think of a strategy until they got there.
Right.
So they're standing in my living room talking about everything they're going to do to get the spirits out the house.
But they don't even
look at me, and I'm like, don't they know the spirits are hearing them right now?
Right.
Don't they know?
Right.
Whatever y'all strategizing right now, these guys were looking at you when y'all turned the block. I go further
before
back
they even got there.
Before you even got there, when I found you on Google and we had our first conversation, these spirits knew you guys were coming over here. They already know that. So you coming here trying to think of a game plan once you're already here. Yeah,
you already lost.
It's over before it even began.
Well, see, and that's just another thing, Keith, because there you guys are. Okay, somebody's finally coming to help. And then you get there, and then you both just look at each other and go, "Yeah, this is going to be a wash. Let's start calling people again," because you just know it.
And that's what we did.
I know it.
We did that. Me and Tim look at us and like, okay, this is a wash. I mean, right. I'm going to be blunt honest.
Right.
When Ghost of Rich showed up at our house, and they showed up on the last day of a 4-day, because their B team was there for 3 days, and Zach showed up the last day to conduct a 5-hour investigation. I told you, this is over.
It's over.
You guys have brought a stick to a gunfight, dude.
There you go.
Y'all have no idea what's here, and y'all coming. Oh, I'm Zach, or I'm this and that, and these man, wow. I was like, wow. This is team. We need to get on the horn. We're in trouble because we are going to pay the price for their inefficiency.
Right.
Every normal team that came in unprepared, Keith and Tina are going to pay the price.
Yeah,
people don't realize that.
Come in, stir it up, agitate it, really make it mad, and then say, "Okay, we're out of here, you guys."
Yeah, we're out here. Yeah.
That's absolutely. People just don't realize that's kind of what happens, because you don't know. You can't tell by a website unless you're reading reviews and things like that. But still, even reviews are 50-50. You're not really sure. They help, but they don't solidify your faith in whoever you're calling. And, you're getting these teams, and every time one comes in and one leaves, you feel more let down, and everything's going to ramp up because there went your hope a little bit more, and then it ramps up again, and then you call the next one. And by golly, you guys hung in there. Now, I know before we talk about the episode on that, there was some other things that were happening where they're not, because I might have my timeline wrong. Wasn't that when you were getting more things happening in the office and more writings before they got there? Before they got there.
The writings, before they got there, like I said, we're deep into 2014 now.
2014,
the gloves have come off. And wall writings are a daily occurrence now.
No.
Objects being thrown, chef knives that are in the kitchen drawer in the sheath are being thrown. My cologne bottles being thrown at me. Scissors are being thrown. Nasty wall writings. Sometimes we will leave the TV on. We're told to leave the TV on the gospel channel.
Right.
When you leave the house, let that play blasting.
Right.
You come home, the TV or the stereo is off. Or it's on a different channel. And sometimes they would turn the channel as you're walking out the room. By the time you got to your car, you can hear the music change. You haven't even driven out the driveway yet.
Wow.
All this stuff. This is before they even arrive. I mean, we're at the peak of activity. It's just concussion sounds of banging, very deliberate, and it's almost. We're playing musical. The game musical chairs. We're playing musical bedrooms now.
Okay.
Because the activity would be where the sheets are yanked off you while you're sleeping. One morning we woke up, like you normally do, and you look underneath you. The sheets you were laying, I'm talking about the mattress cover, is confetti. The entire mattress cover has been shredded to confetti in the middle of the night while you were sleeping. There's these razor claw-like scratches on the headboard or the footboard. The banging sometimes makes you go into another bedroom. We would go to another bedroom and then hear the commotion in the room we just left. like the spirits didn't know we had left yet. It usually took them a day or a day and a half to realize, oh, they're sleeping in different rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Because by day 2, now they're bothering us in the room we're in. We're in a guest bedroom. So we move to another guest bedroom. Take about another day and a half, and here come the bed shaking on day 2. Mm. Or if we sleep downstairs on the hard living room floor, all the commotion you hear upstairs. And sometimes it just got so bad we just had to get a hotel.
Right.
We had to just, like, we're not staying here. Heck no. If the activity is, I could tell you by the time 8 p.m. rolled around what type of night we were going to have.
Right.
Because if stuff started being thrown around 8 p.m., loud bangs and just interesting phenomena like the carpets rolled up in a blink of an eye, I knew by 8:30, now let's go. I told you, we're not
staying here tonight.
They are highly energized. They're restless. We're not dealing with this.
Let me ask you this, Kieth. I understand, man. And two things. One is I'm listening to you speak, and it's like, when I've heard you speak before, you had this down. Because it's almost like it was your survival mechanism to understand. I see that. I know what's coming next. You're trying to stay ahead of this because it's survival mechanism. It's like what you had. And I understand that. And then it goes with the personality of trying to figure out everything. And like I said, you're trying to stay one step ahead, but it's at your heels the whole time. So you can't really stop and rest for a second. The second one is when you did leave and go to a hotel room, was it a restful night there? Did it follow? Were you okay for that night?
We were okay for that night if we were together. Okay. There was no activity while we were together, running away from the house that night. And I could get a sense that the spirits didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
How I know is because one morning we came back on a Sunday, me and Tina, from a hotel. And I always had a mental sense of accomplishment when I came back, like, y'all didn't get us that night. I thought that to myself. And midway through that day is when both our car keys would go missing.
Okay, you got punished. Yeah.
So we got kind of like, they took the keys. Oh, man, that was like, you're not leaving tonight, dude.
Right.
And that's where I got.
Oh, man.
Now, when I went, because I travel on business, when I went to stay in hotels on business trips, in Spokane, Washington, and in Sacramento, California, I did have activity in my hotel. I had my sheets yanked off me one night, several nights in both those hotels while sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a lot about the poking and the prodding while I'm sleeping, coming from within the mattress itself, of something is jabbing me in my rib cage or my kidney area, or just or shin or my ankles or my feet.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened a lot. And keep in mind, one time it happened, Tina was at the house with her friend, and the house was under attack. So we had an attack taking place at two places at the same time when Tina and her friend were in the house by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They got ran out that morning about 5 a.m. ish, and then I had the attack in Spokane. But also, and people don't know this, the night we stayed in the hotel while Ghost Adventures did their lockdown, we did have activity in our hotel room while Ghost Adventures, obviously, we're not having any activity in our house.
Right.
But we had activity in our hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Light fixtures going off and on while we're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Radio going off and on. The keys, little card keys they give you malfunctioning on the door that night and that morning. And also using Ghost Adventures credit card. The guy could not explain it, but the card reader, for some odd reason, had a tremendous amount of malfunction when we tried to check in with Ghost Adventures credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they never knew that because nobody had ever called to check up on us. But yeah, that did happen, as well as the other things I mentioned when I went on the road for business. Yeah.
Right. Did you catch that too, Steve? Not everything you just said, but in the beginning, if if they both left together, there would be no activity. But as long as one was still there, even the one separated from the other, like there's some kind of an energy connection that they could jump from her to him. Do you see what I'm saying there? It seems odd, but that's the first time I've heard that. That's very interesting, Kieth. I mean, not that all this isn't, incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
But that's just something I caught, and I think you've picked up on that yourself. When, like you just said, that's kind of wild, right? And again, the even the fact that now we know that when you're on Ghost Adventures, they give you a credit card and pay for your hotel room, or at least they try. In Keith's case, it wasn't working too good, but and the fact that they never called up to check on you, but that's neither here nor there. But that's amazing. So, like, if one of you was there, it could connect, but when you both left together, there was something there. So it's something to do with energy or connection. That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, it's some of the phenomena, especially toward the end of that year. It was always a couples thing, meaning, and me and Tina, wherever she's at in the world, where I'm at in the world for the longest we're alive, we're always going to have an experience of sharing, of witnessing the same phenomena, me and Tina, of things happening when the other person was within the immediate vicinity.
Right.
Things got so dangerous that we had to have protocols. We had rules written down.
Right.
If the house felt easy about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, hotel. Room felt unsafe, go to another room. Talk about inside the home.
Right.
Tina would never come to the home from work if there was activity. If my cameras are sending me emails and it's 4:30 and we're both heading home, Tina knows to not go into the house until I arrive.
Wow.
She just knows that. And I mean, we just had ground rules. When I go out of town, she stays with a friend.
Right.
Just things like that. She didn't even go to the home during the daytime. Don't go to the home whatsoever.
Right.
Some of these are big inconvenience because they are. But they're better than the alternative.
Right.
But at the same time, it wears you down.
Oh, yes.
It's expensive.
Right.
It's cost inhibitive. And you're just going through all these different ringers while at the same time trying to get help, seek help, document like crazy, answer people's questions, recollect, so people can have the accurate information.
Right. And then you are reaching out for help and you're trying to explain what's going on, and then people are double questioning. Well, do you have a picture of that? Do you have that on video? Do you have any witnesses that saw that happen? Do you have any proof that you had to buy car
and
keys?
then still trying to hold down jobs and live a normal life.
Exactly.
Trying to live a normal life.
And not
keep in mind, the spirits take the good news and run with it, and they take the bad news and run with it a lot further.
Right.
And we were doing all of that. Half our friends don't come to our house anymore.
Right.
So we've lost that aspect of it. Half of our family members don't understand it anymore, so they're a little bit distant.
Right.
Tina's family are giving her hell about staying with me. I can't believe you're still with that guy. My family's giving me hell about staying with her. Me and Tina know we're not each other's enemy here. We know there's an unseen force.
It's you against the world. It's both of you against the world, pretty much.
It's both of us against the world. And I got livid one time when a paranormal team suggested that I bring in cameras and hide them and don't tell Tina where I hid them.
I totally understand. Because they think it's her.
They thought it was, they said, well, hide it from Tina, put it in the plants and put it in the air ventilation and don't tell Tina. And I told her, like, listen, I'm not hiding anything from Tina. The fact that you suggest that makes me know you don't have a grasp of what's taking place here, because
that would have finished it.
Know or see everything we're doing. Now, if Tina was to catch wind of me hiding something from her, suggesting that she's the culprit, you know how she's going to respond. And you know how the spirits are going to respond as a result of her responding.
I get it.
And I'm like,
absolutely.
And so there's no upside to this. And the team that suggested this never entered my house because that was just a bridge too far for me.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And at that point, what, the group were saying that, I can see them not understanding who you guys were and what you were going through. That pretty much underlined all that they didn't understand. No, not only about you guys, but what was going on. But that would have broke it for me. You can just leave now at that point, because you need to move on to the next one. But at this point, how many had you been through? How many groups? How many priests? How many?
Oh man,
hard to say, huh? Lost count. I get it.
Lost count.
I know.
Lost count.
I know.
I said, those that we vetted over the phone, some never came to the house. Mm-hmm. Some did that were totally unprepared that we regretted. Mm-hmm. Some had their heart in the right place, but still were unprepared. Mm-hmm. And then some, the Nickies and whatnot, but they came so much later. They came.
Right.
By the time the Nikki, the Dawn, the Steve, and those teams come around, it's sad. Tina and I had already broken up, and it was just like the spirits had won, like Rhonda, the previous tenant, said.
Right.
The house destroyed their marriage.
Right. And about destroyed them, literally. So at this point, right before the episode, you got the ghost hunters, because not ghost hunters. You probably would have been all right with the ghost hunters. At least you wouldn't have been the same thing. But there was the writings on the wall in the office. It seemed to me that the only time that you saw the substance of the sage ash, that was the only time, that first time the sage ash was used. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's a good observation. Something I learned later, going back to the snowball effect.
Right.
The spirits wrote, now you got to buy primer and a bucket. So it was each substance. There never was a repeat of the same substance. It was getting harder and harder to the point to where the substance started bleeding through the paint.
My.
The October attack, which is what they used, was bone black. That's the wall writing that I had analyzed, and it was determined that was bone black. Mm-hmm. I painted over that. Wasn't easy, but I painted over that. Come December, they wrote on my wall again, and they wrote the words Die KL, which is my initial.
Oh, man.
And they wrote it on every wall in the office, including the ceiling and including the closet in and out. This time, however, I tried to paint over that. It bled through the paint. I went to the store multiple times with primer. And I'm talking to the guy behind the counter. I'm like, hey, it keeps bleeding. It keeps bleeding through the paint. Till somebody finally threw out the idea. They said, well, let me see this paint you're trying to paint over. And he was like, oh, I know why. That paint has gloss in it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, okay, what does that mean? He said, well, wow, whoever did this is like a vandalism, because you only would insert gloss in your paint if you don't want somebody to paint over something.
Wow.
And I was like, really? There's gloss in the paint. You can see the different mixture there that they didn't want you to paint over it. So yeah, you're right. It's all about inconvenience. It's about escalation.
Right.
It's about ratcheting up. Considerable amount of money and time again. Money and time.
Right.
Now, one thing, going back to the common sense, like we was talking earlier about the envelopes in the drawer, and about nobody's going to do that in hoaxing, whatever. It's just too much work involved, and a lot of things that would have to go right over numbers of years. But keep in mind, every time the spirit wrote in my office on my wall, if you look at the images and the letters, some of those items go behind the large furniture.
Wow.
Some of them, they don't stop at the furniture. They go behind it, meaning that you would have to move my table, my office, my chair, my speaker, my entertainment center, my high-def TV. All these wall writings went behind some of those things, and there's not so much as a drip of paint anywhere else in the office on none of my furniture, only on the walls. Me, when I paint, and I cover the entire room up, I tape it down, I'm painting. It takes me 2 hours just to cover up everything.
Right, absolutely.
I paint for another 2 or 3 hours, let it dry, move furniture back and forth, and remove the covers. Voila, I got a new wall. I still get a drop somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I take my time. I take in the whole weekend. These spirits have painted on this wall sometime relatively short period of time of me and Tina leaving the house just to go watch a 2-hour movie.
Right.
Or go get something to eat. So no human being can write on this amount of walls. And we all know when you have carpet and furniture sits on carpet for a long period of time, when you move it, you leave an indentation in the carpet of the leg of that chair or that table.
Mm-hmm.
There's none of that when we walk into the office after a office attack of, they painted on this wall, but the wall, the writing goes behind the TV. They have to have moved the entertainment center. Well, look at the carpet and see if the entertainment center has been moved. No, the entertainment hasn't been moved anywhere. It's like the paintings or the writings bled through the wall in order for it to appear.
And come through the other side of it. That's just amazing. Mm-hmm. And Steve was bringing that up earlier too with the stuff. But before we say that, now there's the writing on the wall. There's still like 666 and things like that. There's some more symbols as well. Something new has popped up. And what did they look like to you, Keith?
The Upside Down Man.
Yep.
Which that was a red herring because up until now we've had words and upside down crosses, and those are relatively easy to decipher. 666. Okay, I get it. Upside down cross. The Upside Down Man was different. This was like a message being sent because it's a picture of an upside down man. It's very easy to look at that and say that's a stick figure of a man. It's upside down.
Mm-hmm.
It's upside down for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked, Google being best friend again, I just simply typed in Google upside down man stick figure, and I put in parentheses Native American symbol.
Right.
And websites start popping up all over the internet of, that means a man has died or a man is about to die. That's a Native American symbol.
Sure is.
Usually means that a man was struck with famine.
Mm-hmm.
Or a man was struck down, either murdered or died violently, or died of a unknown illness. But it means a man has died or a man is about to die.
Mm.
And the spirit wrote that numerous times in the office on multiple walls and on the ceiling. So that was October, November, December when that happened.
Unbelievable. So, I mean, as if all this other stuff wasn't enough. And now it's coming up with this bone black kind of gloss heavy stuff. And is this the point in time where there was that texture to it, where it looked like it was all the little dots and little strings? That's that